All right, guys, what is going on? This is the Scare Network live. We are going to talk with Mr. Dennis Estlock of one of the most, in my opinion, okay, we lost him. He'll jump back on, but we are going to talk with him about one of the most underrated paranormal haunted locations in all of America. And I can say this from experience because I've been to a lot of places and we spent just a small amount of time at the location that Dennis runs and owns, but I'll let him explain more about that. We're talking about the Cabin on 360 in Mechanicsville, Virginia. Love this place and only spent less than 24 hours there. So
Yeah.
Dennis, let's talk about first off, you know, introduce yourself, who you are, and then talk about the cabin, what your role is there, and you've seen the three-part series, and we'll just kind of jump in. So yeah, just kind of introduce yourself and welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Billy. I appreciate it. So yeah, I'm Dennis Estlock. I own the business that is the Cabin on 360. Um, it's a true paranormal experience located just outside Richmond, Virginia, in a little town called Mechanicsville. We're situated 3 miles away from Cold Harbor National Battlefield, and we are situated on Bethesda Church battlefields. Um, you know, Cold Harbor has a distinct honor of being per capita the deadliest battles of the entire Civil War. And all of that started on my property. Um, they were fighting and skirmishing as they were all getting to Cold Harbor. And that all ignited right where the Cabin on 360 sits. So, that little 7.2 acre plot of dirt that the cabin and the brick rancher next door sit on has over a 2,000 body count, either on or immediately in proximity to it. It's just crazy what took place there. One of the journal entries we found was from a commanding officer, and it says how they've lost a full on 80% of their commanders. That's kind of unheard of. It's one of very few battles of the entire Civil War that Lee himself led a counteroffensive on. Grant camped just across the road from us at Bethesda Church, which was a Confederate headquarters. And I can damn near throw a rock from my property to that property. So it's just a huge piece of history right there. And I'm fortunate and blessed in the fact that I'm able to, one, have access to the property, two, that I can find so much documentation on everything that has occurred there, and just daily I'm kind of blown away by how much has occurred on that land.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the Civil War, we're talking about now close to, gosh,
165-ish years
yeah,
ago.
almost. Yeah, I was about to say almost 175 years, 165 years. So, I mean, the further we get in time, the harder it is to pinpoint and document, exactly where the battles and stuff took. But, um, I mean, that's pretty amazing. And even, think about it, even before that, I mean, let's think about the early settlers that came on, and then the Native Americans that roamed that land. I mean, the history on that, I mean, goes back, before time. I mean, think about it, if you really think about it. So who knows what really happened on that land? But gosh,
Oh,
the imprint is there.
oh, most definitely. I mean, the European settlers were on that piece of dirt somewhere around the 1630s,
Yep.
So you're talking 420-ish years ago. You had as many as 5 different tribes that were very close to that space, all of which were under Chief Powhatan's rule and under the Powhatan Nation umbrella. Then you had Revolutionary War that marched through that district, through that
Yeah,
area. Now, I can't put them specifically on my land, but they
of
marched
course.
through very close. Just, I mean, there is so much has taken place. AFV, welcome. Uh, and then of course, Civil War, we had countless battles. Um, I mean, within 2 miles, we had Totopotomoy Creek, Hawes Shop 2, Pole Green Church,
Yep.
Metadequin Creek. Just all of those battles took place right around this property. And then, of course, the battles of Bethesda Church itself were
Yeah.
right there.
It's funny because I even forgot about the Revolutionary War and how close that, where the cabin is located in Virginia to Washington D.C. I mean, what you're talking about a couple of hours, right? I mean, who knows what happened in those times too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
It's got such fantastic and broad spread history.
Mhm.
If we look back to the Powhatan Nation, they were known to create an elemental spirit, and they called it a pukwudgie. If we take a hypothetical, we know we have a bit of a darker entity in the Brick Rancher, but if we think all the way back to um, the native time, while they were being pushed out by the European settlers, what if they left something behind like that?
yeah.
Or what if they cursed the land? Or you know, there's so many things that could have happened, but all the energy is still on that land. I mean, you just never feel like you're alone on the property.
Yeah, so it's funny because right before we went and did filmed at the cabin on 360, we were in Suffolk in that area, and we were doing a residential case, and it was right near this river, and was apparently a pretty bloody Civil War battle that happened right there on that river and that land. So then we moved, a couple hours to the cabin, and so I mean, there's so much of that land in that area in Virginia and up and down the East Coast, that was affected by the Civil War. Um, and who knows how much blood was shed on that
Yeah,
land?
it's
Uh,
insane. I remember thinking that well, early in the day when you guys got to property, one, you looked kind of worn out.
yep.
And two, you kept saying, "Well, hopefully I get enough to make it a full episode out of this."
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you, Billy?
Well, like we were talking about before we actually went live. Look, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm a perfectionist, and I never feel like what I do is going to be good enough. But one thing I've learned, the past almost 5 years of producing these paranormal documentaries, these true crime documentaries, and stuff that we produce, all I can do is shoot as much as I can and then go back, and it's like a big puzzle. You just try to piece it together because there's no script, obviously. We went there blindfolded. I didn't know anything about the cabin, anything about the rancher, anything about the woods, history, none of that. So it's just like a puzzle or like a big pot of stew. You just kind of throw stuff in there and you mix it together and try to make it cohesive, and then try to make it make sense where it can actually have a potential beginning, middle, and end, and not just jumbled together, but there be reasoning behind you do what you do. So the fact that we got three different episodes or parts. They're episodes, but I call them parts. Part 1, part 2, and part 3 is pretty incredible because I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I'd heard about the cabin like a lot. I'd heard a lot of people talk about it. I'd heard about it, but I hadn't done much research or know much on it. And everywhere I go, I want to do it justice, and I want to tell the story, and I want to get the history the best I can. Because a lot of locations you go to, if it's a asylum or a haunted house that's been abandoned for 50 years, you can't get the history and stuff on it. I mean, you can try, but you can't. But you and Ryan and with Sean's experiences there, the stories that you guys told were pretty incredible. And then what you guys said, and then the paranormal evidence we were able to gather in one night to back up these stories and stuff. I mean, it's insane to me. It's insane. I mean, you saw the 3 episodes. I mean, I, I I'm a perfectionist. I can't even wrap my head around the amount of stuff that we got, right?
The fact that you're just sitting there going, you know, it boggled my mind when I was watching the episodes, and I'm like, holy shit. Just constant something happened,
Yeah.
and watching Hammy react the way that he was, because it was so unexpected. Even Hammy didn't really have an idea how active the location was,
Yeah.
uh, or could be. And for those that know Chris Hammond or Hammy, he does a lot of investigations. Sean Austin does a ton of investigations. Um, and Sean was just blown away the weekend that he and Dave Spink spent there.
Yep.
And, to watch you guys come in and Sean's like a little apprehensive, and the rest of the crew was like, oh, cakewalk. It's a log cabin and a brick ranch, or what the hell can possibly be here?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, let me play the trailer real quick just so people can kind of see it, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it. And I'm telling you, man, I had a hard time cutting this trailer because I cut it into 2 minutes, and we got 3 episodes. First episode's almost an hour, second episode's almost 45 minutes. Third episode's well over 40 minutes, and I had to cut it into 2 minutes to try. There's so much stuff I had to leave out. And I'm like, gosh, no, I could have cut this trailer 10 minutes, but then it would be boring. So let's play this trailer, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Dude, that sounds like a cocking of a gun.
Oh my God, dude, I just got the chills. That sounds like a gunshot.
That big loud bang?
It sounds like the body hitting the ground.
Yeah, it does.
We know in October of 1979, Randy actually fired 2 .38 caliber rounds into her chest.
When I was younger, my dad had told me a story. He was called over to the house next door, the brick rancher, and he had to help move the girl's body into the body bag. The cabin on 360 is a haunted location in Mechanicsville, Virginia.
I've investigated hundreds of locations, and I would say this is definitely the #1 location for activity of all the places I've investigated. Who is down here with us?
Randy spent a lot of time in the basement. People have been influenced by what's down there in the basement.
Are you making me tired?
Who needs help upstairs? What's the girl's name?
I kind of gave this place the nickname. It's like the trifecta of paranormal energy, because you have characterization to the haunting here, over at the rancher, and then this whole vast area of forest behind these 2 properties that are tied to the Civil War. There's just spiritual energy everywhere, but it's like 3 locations molded into one.
From a paranormal experience, it really is an experience that, unlike anything else, you're just going to have so much.
I yelled to the house, "All right, mother effer, we need to talk." And that house growled at me.
Watching Sean drop equipment and nearly pucker his ass up like that was priceless.
I had to put that in there. I mean, he was so paranoid over the spiders.
Oh, he was.
The entire night. Hey, it was spider this, spider that. I can't tell you how much on the raw footage Chris was like, that wasn't a web, that wasn't a spider. It was like a moth was near him. Oh, it's a spider.
And that's the crazy thing, man. I've never seen spiders in there as big before or, well, 2 days after Sean was there, I saw another one. But I had never seen a spider that damn big in that house before he came, and I haven't seen one since. Other than
a wolf spider in there since then?
No, not one, zero. I mean, do you have a picture of it you can throw up on screen?
Let me upload it. But that picture, hold on, I'll upload it.
I mean, the best I can do is hold my phone up and hope.
No, I've got it. Hold on.
And the one that I sent you the picture of that is sitting on the receptacle is smaller than the one that was on the damn wall behind him.
So that's the one. Wait, there was
that
two?
was the one. That was the one I found 2 days later.
Okay.
The one that was on the wall behind him that would have looked him eye to eye was probably 30% bigger than that one.
And you killed that one right
I
in front of them?
killed that one right in front of them.
Jeez.
So I've never, and like I said, I mean, it's been what, 4 years since they were there, and I have yet to have seen another one like this.
Yeah. I mean, so when I was down in the basement filming, I saw a lot of, daddy long legs and other little spiders. Obviously, I would have told you if I'd have seen something like that. I never saw any type of wolf spider or anything close to that. That's insane.
And then I see Shannon says that she got a beautiful photo of an orb weaver outside the ranch the other night, and it was huge. Now, Shannon was there just Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
And she said she's got a lot of great activity, and she actually sent me a couple of pieces of video from their visit up in the Pink Pearl. Now, for those that don't know, the Pink Pearl is the upstairs back room of the log cabin. Mm-hmm. And it's got that wonderful nickname because at one time in the mid 80s, they got raided for having a bordello up there. You could get a little extra rub and tug and a happy ending.
Wow. So that's interesting. So Sean started talking about that, but Ryan had never said anything about a bordello in there. So I was like, whoa, I hadn't heard anything about that. So, okay. So that's where that came from then.
Right. But see, there's so many stories and there's so much history that for me to share all of it with you, you wouldn't have had a damn bit of time to do any filming there.
Yeah, I know. Well, in that room you're talking about, me and Hammy did a quick investigation up there. We weren't up there long. We were up there for maybe 20 minutes, and we got a little EVP and SB7. We got a few responses back. Nothing mind blowing like we got over at the Rancher. But we definitely got a little bit. And that was pretty much all the investigating we did at the cabin. Most of what we did was at the Rancher and out in the woods and stuff.
And so that's the cool thing about the place. When you're only there for one night like you guys were, and you weren't even there the full night, if I remember right, you didn't get to the property till 5, 6 o'clock.
No, we got there it's about 2 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, you came in the afternoon and shot a lot of B-roll too.
Yeah, and we were moving around doing B-roll. Y'all were walking around with the GoPro doing some other stuff while I was filming B-roll. Yeah. And then I think we left about 10 o'clock the next morning, so we definitely weren't even there for 24 hours.
Yeah, and to be able now, so I was tech director for the Twisted Realm, which is another series, and on average, you can expect 27 minutes of actual footage broadcast.
Yep.
Out of a 1 hour episode time slot, and it takes you that entire time to get that 27 minutes.
Yeah.
And something that most people don't think when they watch any of the network shows or whatever, they're on site for 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah.
To get their episode. And you guys locked it down with, equivalent to 3 episodes, 3 parts in one night.
I know.
I think that's the part that most people don't comprehend is how long it takes to actually get an episode put together.
Yeah. Well, that's
to have enough to do it.
So, if I had more resources and more people helping me out, I would have had this out a lot faster. But the cool thing about it is there's been some projects since I started ScareNetwork years ago that I've kind of rushed on. The cool thing is I kind of sat on this because I had these other projects in the queue before this, but when I put my mind, I'm like, hey, we shot the cabin almost a year ago. It's like, man, I got to put this together. And then when I did, I actually took my time to do it. So I was actually able to spend a little bit more time versus rushing through stuff like you and I talked about in text. It's like, if you're shooting on an investigation or, on a shoot at a location and you're shooting with multiple cameras, I bet I've missed so much evidence. I know I have. It's just hard to kind of go through, especially with multiple cameras, because it's like, what if you're shooting for an hour straight and you got 3 cameras? Okay. It's like, you got to think about it. That's 3 hours if you look at every frame of that 1 hour shoot specifically. So it's very time consuming to do that. So I think me putting it off a little bit actually benefited because if I would have rushed it or tried to get it out quicker, I don't think I would have had the patience or the wherewithal to actually, to be able to come up with the 3 different parts. And I'm glad that I did. And like I said, man, you guys' stories, you and Ryan's and Sean's stories were paramount to carrying this stuff, because the way that I do things as a filmmaker too, especially with these paranormal documentaries, it's like, nobody wants to sit there, in my opinion, and watch for an hour just someone holding a phone and you just listening to a spirit box, so I like to break stuff up just to break the monotony, you know what I'm saying, just to help with the pacing and whatnot, and to keep people's attention. So, that's what I mean. The interviews and stuff were phenomenal, and your sit down interview was phenomenal. Your walk around interview was freaking great, which I'm glad we did that. So, I'm super appreciative of you guys taking the time to do that, even though you didn't know me from Adam before I showed up that day.
Nope, I didn't. But it's, and I think so. I know I've got Shannon, Daniel, Gene, a couple of Shannons in chat, and they've all watched me over the years how much I am just passionate about this location.
Yep.
And they are too. Gene and Shannon Page that you see in chat, they're a couple of my volunteers there, and they're members of my actual investigative team, Crop, also. Mm-hmm. And they have the same passion for this location that I do. And Daniel James there in the chat, I think he's been to the location now 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah.
It's one of those locations. I think Shannon James that's in chat also, she's been there I think now 4 times. It's one of those locations that just holds you because there is so much there.
Yeah.
And the spirits that are there are so willing to talk to you and so willing to interact with devices and so willing to interact with the environment. It's just insane. And, we were told, I want to say last April maybe, that the end of June it was time to pack up and move on because the company that actually owns the land and the structures wanted to just get it off their books.
Yeah.
And, I knew if they did, they're a construction and realty company. And I knew if they took it over and sold it, somebody was going to start a bulldozer in the front yard and stop it in the back. And I'm like, man, that can't happen.
Yeah.
So I struck a deal to get a lease on the property. I've never been this far in debt in my life.
Well, club.
Yeah. But my goal is twofold. I don't want to see that battlefield get a parking lot, or there was some jackwagon wanted to build a softball complex on the property.
Really?
Yeah. And I can't see all that shit. I can't see this thing being anything but a paranormal location where we learn from spirit. I mean, I've said 1,000 times. I've been interviewed countless times for my team and for locations that we help. And I've said 1,000 times, when this meat suit dies, what do I have to look forward to on that side? And this property, I hope, because the spirits there are so willing to interact, I hope we can learn and further the field. And that's what it was intended to become, was just a laboratory, so to speak. And Shannon, I look forward to having you guys back. You're awesome to gather evidence from.
Yeah, what you said about learning from that, you say that in the series as well. I think that's maybe in the closing in episode 3, you talk about that, and it's a really powerful statement. But look, man, you got me hooked on this thing, so I'm gonna be a huge advocate for this location. And that's what I was going to ask you, where we're at with that, and ask you if you feel comfortable that this location is safe from everything you said that could potentially happen with the softball and the gas station, this and that. How comfortable do you feel about where you guys are with keeping the location and keeping it moving forward? Because, man, I mean, just if we got what we got in less than 1 day, 24-hour period, I would love to go back and spend 3 days there and see what we come up with.
Well, I'll tell you, you can ask Sean Austin how his energy level was at the end of a weekend. Dave Spinks, owned Willow's Weep.
Yep.
And his statement to me was, bro, I spent 12 days at the Weep. He's like, there's no way in hell I could do it at your place. It's just exhausting mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Everything was just constant attack. He's like, I don't know how the hell you spend so much time there. I'm like, I just love the place. So, but to answer your question, well, first, hey, David, hey, Trent, Ryan Jones, welcome aboard, brother. To answer your question, how confident am I that this place isn't going anywhere? I don't know that I can guarantee it's not.
Yeah.
I can guarantee one thing. I will be distraught if it fails. I will be bankrupt if it fails.
Yeah.
And I will be probably on the side of the road bawling like a little bitch if I ever see a bulldozer start up out front, because I know what's happened. But I have a GoFundMe out there right now to help me raise enough funds to approach a bank and go, man, I need this loan. I want to buy the land. That's my intent.
Yeah, I was going to say, not that I'm anybody or the platform's anybody, but I mean, what can people do? What can we do to, try our best to see that hopefully doesn't happen? So you got the GoFundMe. You got to send me that link, and I'll blast it out to the best I can.
All right.
What else can we do? Just encourage people to come and investigate and rent the place out.
That's the biggest thing. If I can keep it booked, if I can keep it rented out, then I can start banking money. Because right now I'm paying for so much out of pocket. And I can't keep doing that. I've bled myself dry. So I am doing everything that I possibly can. What I need, in all honesty, is if they don't donate to the GoFundMe, book the location.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Spread the word. Daniel James has got it right there in 3 words. Spread the word. Tell
Well,
them how awesome this place
yeah.
is. Get me bookings. Help me save this battlefield. One of the things that we've already done, we took a probably 100-foot round area, and we've cleared it out. And there's going to be double that size cleared out into the woods, and we think it's where Melissa's body was actually dumped.
When did y'all do that? When did y'all clear?
2 months ago. Shannon Page, if you remember when it was, can you do me a favor and throw it in the chat? But we cleared that area out. We think this is where her actual body was dumped.
Mhm.
We're going to put a flower garden in there to honor her. I'm going to put a bench in there that is in honor of Melissa Carroll Elliott, this 12-year-old beautiful young soul that was murdered in that home. And there are, hundreds, thousands of soldiers on the land that deserve to be honored. It doesn't need to be a car wash or some other bullshit, a softball complex. So I want to I've already spoken with American Battlefield Trust. They want to work with me. Right around Cabin Con, which was May 30th, 31st, and June 1. And so mid-May is when we cleared that space out to do the flower garden and a memorial garden for Melissa. And here's the weird part. This one kind of blows me away. Jean, myself, and Martha, I got notification that somebody was at the back end of the property. So I notify them I'm headed out there. And Jean's like, I'll meet you there, man. Martha's like, I'm right up the road. Grab me and I'll go with you. I don't hesitate, man. If you're on my property, we're going to chat.
Yeah.
So we go to the very back, and it turns out it's a dude working on the cell towers back there.
Okay.
As we're walking back to the front, Martha just has this feeling that she wants to go off to this side. Now, when you're walking through the woods on the trails, which we have beautiful cleared trails, there's an area that we found these big bins of aluminum pop cans. We had never really paid attention to it.
Yeah.
We always wondered, is there something about it, but didn't have any thoughts on it. Well, we started noticing yucca plants around there. Now, I've been on this property. Ryan Jones in the chat's been on this property nearly 10 years. Ryan's been there most of his life, but we honestly started walking the woods. And in the 7.2 acres, we know of one cluster of yuccas right on the main trail. And then there's these little sporadic clusters are popping up towards those pop cans and kind of on a path. And they lead straight up to Melissa's bedroom window. So after we shared the finding that there is a couple of yucca plants with a team, they did an investigation and they asked, Melissa, did you plant these yuccas so Dennis can find you? And they got a EVP back of a young female voice that says, yes. Now, yucca is not native to Virginia. It's not just, like birds eat the seeds and shit a yucca plant somewhere. They just don't pop up.
Yeah.
But there's this almost a trail of them that lead right back to these pop cans. And we're like, I've got to know. I think this is where her body was dropped. She's trying to tell me. So that started the clearing idea and turn it into a memorial garden for her. And yeah, so Daniel James just posted on there that we're going to do haunted trail walks. Now, I've named them Twilight Terrors. And I've got most of September and October, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, almost every weekend except for when I already had bookings or somebody wanted to book. I canceled that night on the Twilight Terror trails.
Wow.
But my goal is it's all to share the history. Tickets are $20. Takes about 2 hours. I'm going to give you the history on the land and everything, and then Booze Paranormal. I've got Ron Wood that creates these really cool lanterns, and they're LED EMF sensitive, and they look like an old kerosene lantern. So we're going to walk the trails with those, give some history, tell some of the happenings that we've had. It's the spooky season, so that's going to be our goal. I think it's something that will A, help share the history on the land, and B, it's going to be something to help raise funds that I can purchase the land and protect it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm
Judy has
reading Judy's comment now. I recently donated to this cause, but I'm just curious if this is a historical site and burial ground. Has anybody been able to touch it? I thought historical property was safe from intruders.
I don't know what's about intruders. You're talking about bulldozing the land or whatever, or no? I don't know.
I'm not sure truly what she means about safe from intruders, but here's the story on it, Judy. It is owned right now by a construction and real estate firm. They don't care about history. They care about the bottom line. They care about green. So a body count that's attributed to the land is irrelevant to them. The historical significance of the battles that took place to them is insignificant. Those things don't pay bills. Those things don't keep employees paid.
Yeah.
So they just wanted to sell it. Well, I want to protect it. So my goal, and what you donated to, Judy, is a fund that is going to help me walk into a bank and go, here is a large sum deposit. No bank, even the Small Business Administration, will touch you without a 10% or more deposit to go towards buying land.
Yeah.
Well, my goal once I buy it is, and I've already been in contact with American Battlefield Trust, and they are stoked to help me protect a piece of Bethesda Church battlefield. According to the gentleman that I spoke with, I believe his name was Michael, and I don't remember his last name. I have to go back through my notes. They have been trying to find land from Bethesda Church because it was so significant going into Cold Harbor. Now, National Park Service owns a portion of Cold Harbor Battlefield, 5%. That's it, 5%. The rest of it is either privately owned, developed by housing, or currently being farmed. I want to protect this land from all of that. And I want to be able to put out a little monument and a marker in honor of the Union and Confederate soldiers that died there, as well as a monument and a marker to commemorate Melissa's death. So that's what the purpose is. It has not been marked yet as a historical site. I cannot prove that it's a burial ground, even though we suspect there are burials on the property. Ground penetrating radar is what will be needed for that, and then excavating. The trouble is that is very expensive, and I don't have the money for those.
Yeah.
So my goal, and American Battlefield Trust has already told me that once I take ownership of it, they would love to work with me and bring in ground penetrating radar, bring in LIDAR, which will tell the true history. So LIDAR shoots out millions of little laser points, and it can kind of tell them everything through the tree growth, the underbrush, and everything. It will tell them what the ground itself looks like. So I've been in touch with the people that can help, but they won't do a damn thing unless the owner is the one that asked for it. And the owner is a construction and realty firm. They don't care about history.
So let's talk about, I want to hold on. I want to show some of the land. Let's talk. So for people who are not familiar with the true crime that happened there on October 4th, 1979, let's talk about that. Let's leave the R word out of it, of what he did. I actually had that in the trailer yesterday, and I was like, man, I can't put this out there. I mean, even though it happened. But here's a shot of the cabin, and you see the rancher behind it, for those not familiar. But just for those who don't know kind of the history of the rancher and what happened. You don't get a long drawn out story, Dennis, because we want people to watch the actual episode where we kind of tell a lot about it, but just kind of give a nutshell of what happened on October 4th, 1979. And you touched on a little bit about the cans and stuff, but we haven't talked about actually what happened. And then, what your feeling is on the spirit. Obviously, we can't definitively prove anything, but the spirit of Melissa that may still be around that property.
Okay. So you said the date, October 4th, 1979, 12-year-old Melissa Carol Elliott was sexually assaulted and then murdered by her 17-year-old half-brother. He put 2 .38 caliber rounds in her chest, threw her body out her own bedroom window, dragged her 75 to 100 yards into the woods, and dropped her body into a refrigerator box. Good night, Shannon. Thank you, hon. He was later found. There is conflicting reports on it. One that I got from the sheriff deputies was that he was found in Lumberton, North Carolina, but you found an article where he was found in Asheville.
I actually found 3 articles that said it was Asheville. 3.
Yeah, and it's insane because the deputies that I talked to said he was in Lumberton.
Yeah.
I don't know where those 2 cities are in conjunction to each other.
Oh, so where I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, Lumberton's maybe an hour and a half, but Asheville's out in the mountains. Asheville's like 6 hours, so they're actually about 5 hours apart from each other.
Yeah, that's a long way apart.
Yeah, they are. It's a long ways away. It's actually closer for me to go to where you are versus me to go to Asheville, North Carolina, in the same state. So
yeah,
either way.
Yeah, there's some confusion on that. I've been saying all along that he was found in Lumberton because that's what the deputies on scene that day that I interviewed told me.
Yep.
But it was 3 days later. He had stolen a neighbor's car.
Yep.
And ironically, he was caught down there attempting to steal another car. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of tomato as to whether he was caught in Asheville or Lumberton.
Yeah.
But he was going to Grandma's house in Lumberton, which is where he lives today. Is back in Lumberton. He is. He is. He was paroled in May of 2019. Oh, good grief. Sorry.
100% that's been confirmed. I couldn't.
Oh, it's confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's confirmed. But yeah, he's back in Lumberton at Grandma's house, lives with Mom. Now, my understanding is just 2 years ago, Dad passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So now we kind of suspect John, Dad, may be at the property as well. We've had a lot of positive hits on devices and EVPs when we ask, is John here? So, obviously I haven't checked their identification cards, but I suspect that John very well may be there at the cabin as well.
That's interesting.
It's very odd. We know there are probably at least 4 spirits in the brick rancher itself. Speaking of which, just tonight on one of my blink cameras in the parents' bedroom, I got an alert, person in parents' room. There was nobody in the building.
Was the parents' room the front left?
Yeah, the front corner.
Yeah. Okay.
And nobody on camera. And the camera didn't even record. It just gave me an alert that there was a person in that room, but it didn't go into record mode.
Yeah.
That makes no damn sense.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but if you remember, I think it's in episode 2, Sean and Chris were in that room. Chris Mendice were in that room, and they were doing an EVP, and the camera it didn't just go out of focus, it completely went out of focus. The whole room went out of focus, where something almost walked right in front of the lens and just completely made everything go out of focus.
Yeah.
So that kind of correlates with what you're saying right there too.
Yeah. Now I've got another piece of footage that I have a blink camera in the living room as well, and they're set only to record on motion.
Yeah.
8:30 in the morning, that blink camera went active, and then you see some shadow play in like the doorway from the living room to the kitchen, and then you see the motion camera in the basement stairway activate. It's kind of crazy, everything that has happened there. Here's an odd one for you. I bought some night lights to put in the house. One, to help the cameras, and two, if there's shadow play, you can see it. So I bought 4 of these. On the same damn day, all 4 of them burned out. They're LED. They had been in a month.
It take a long time to burn out.
Yeah. And they're just on the same damn day, I lost all 4. And I'm like, what the hell?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man. So when we went, it was like around I don't remember the exact, around June 20th. So just imagine the heat in, the eastern part of the United States, around that time. I mean, that's almost the top of the summer. And I'm telling you, like in the rancher, it was hard to breathe. I mean, it's hard to breathe because of the humidity. Then you throw the paranormal into it, and it makes it even harder to breathe. And so you're like, oh, is this the humidity or is this the spirit? So, that makes a human being even a little bit more agitated, and your patience a little bit lower. So, again, I'm not tooting our horn. I'm just saying the fact that we were able to capture what we captured with that humidity, and it probably being 90 degrees, it was actually cooler outside than it was in the rancher.
You'll be pleased to know, if you want to come back and shoot another episode, the HVAC system works now.
It does.
So we can cool the building.
Oh, all right. That's about that. Well, at the time, it did it.
No, at the time it had taken a shit. I wouldn't spend the money to fix it. Now it's on me to fix it, and I've had them out twice in 8 months.
Well,
so, yeah.
I mean, you sent me that blink footage of that little shadow figure or whatever it was near the basement, and I thought it was pretty incredible, man. I mean, I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to.
I'm curious.
And just make sure that it won't fluke what we got, because the stuff. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, and I really want everybody to go to ScareNetwork and watch this series. First off, we're gonna release episode 1 Thursday night, and then for the next 2 Thursdays after that, episode 2 and episode 3. But I mean, just the spirit part responses. You got Gunn, we got Murder, we got Randy, we got Melissa, we got Girl, and they were direct answers. They weren't just random, answers being spewed out. So, it's like, who is the girl who needs help up there, upstairs, and then you got Randy, and then Melissa.
Who needs help upstairs? Girl. What's the girl's name? Melissa. Now, I just sent you a text message with another image, and I was being a smart ass, and I circled it in red instead, but I sent it to my volunteers chat. But take a peek at that one and tell me how many figures or how many shadows look like there are in the living room of the rancher in that image. And if you want, I can hold it up to the camera and let the guest look at it.
Let me download it and try try to find it on my.
But I sent it to you as a text. If I need
got
to, I can send it to you in Messenger.
Nope. Hold on. I'm gonna upload it right now.
All right. Now, I'll give you a little story on that piece of footage. I did not realize that with the Blink camera, when you go into live view, you have to tell it record. So I thought it was recording because I went into live view. Well, I watched a shadow figure walk out of the hallway, turn the corner, and sit on that love seat. And then that's when I took that picture. There was a love seat now on that far wall, but you can see that dark figure in front of everything over there. But then look in front of the fireplace, and what do you see there?
Tell me what I see. I mean, I see some blurred stuff, right?
Yeah, it kind of looks like, and I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just pareidolia, but it looks like there are 3 different distinct figures in front of the fireplace.
Yeah.
If you look almost straight down from that left bottom corner picture, or the picture that's above the fireplace, almost straight down in the middle, you can see what looks like a face there. And then off the bottom right corner of it, a little bit shorter to the far right-hand side of the brickwork, looks like another one. And then just to the left of, not in front of the brickwork, but to the left of the brickwork, it looks like a third figure there.
Yeah.
But what I did, I thought it was recording, and I just took a screenshot because the figure that I saw in the very back inside that circle there. And Martha had been sitting on the love seat over there just prior to that. And she stood up and goes, fuck this. Pardon my French. And she got up and walked away. And I asked what was wrong. And she said, it felt like somebody was right beside me. Well, after she walked away and went around the corner out of camera shot, I watched a figure walk out that hallway and sit down there and then snap the screenshot of it.
Wow.
So it was, I didn't see all the others right in front of the fireplace. That was brought to my attention.
That's crazy. So, Trent, that's awesome, man. About booking another investigation. Book a bunch of them and tell everybody no to keep booking.
Yeah, and Trent there with Project Zero and, Booze Paranormal, we sell his equipment. He makes some phenomenal equipment.
Really?
Yes. I'm his only retail outlet for it. He sells online as well, but he makes some really good low-cost equipment that does phenomenal. And, he's just a down-to-earth, true gentleman. If his equipment malfunctions or breaks or fails, he's got absolutely no problem giving you a replacement for it. Unlike somebody that used to run Paranologies, that you would send your shit back to him and never see it, and he would ghost you. Ron from Booze Paranormal will take care of his product and his customers.
So let me ask you this, and this is just your opinion, and this is a hypothetical here, and we touch on the basement obviously a lot. I think in all 3 episodes, there's varying stories about the basement, along with our investigations that we did in the basement and whatnot. Let me ask you this, and again, like I said, it's just your opinion, but let's say that house was built and that basement was not built. The house was just built. Do you think Randy would have done what he did if there was no basement in that house? I mean, this is, again, hypothetical.
I think he still would have, because I think what we assume to be an elemental that is there, what we have proven plays in the psyche of people, I think it would still be there. It may have been, instead of the basement, it may have been in his room, which I've had guests tell me they saw something that looked like the images I shared with you in Randy's bedroom.
Yep.
So I think he still would have done it. One, because I don't think it was solely that entity playing in his psyche. I think he himself. All right.
And the drugs too, Joe. I think that if that
If
was
there were drugs, but
yeah.
here's the thing. I think, and this is my opinion. I
Yep.
don't have any evidence,
Yep.
but this is my opinion. I think there had been a lot of sexual assault going on, and she finally said, "That's it, man. You touch me one more time, and I tell everything."
Yeah.
And that's what snapped him.
Okay. Okay.
So
That makes sense.
I don't know if the drugs played into it, if there were any. I don't know if the entity in the basement played into it, but I will tell you this. Well, you've met me. I'm pretty damn happy-go-lucky.
Yep.
We hosted a New Year's Eve party there, and I had team members and their kids and friends and their kids. I put a TV in the living room in the log cabin, and we're watching Times Square. You know, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Yeah.
Got the TV cranked up. Everybody's dancing, laughing, having a good time. I'm sitting in the corner drinking my coffee, just relaxing, having fun. And then I just started to get mad. And I shared this story to you, and it's in the episode.
Yeah.
I walked over to that house because I was having images of just drawing my weapon and start to snap everybody.
Yeah.
That is so out of character for me. I knew I was being played with. And when I walked over and threw that front door open and slammed it against the closet door and yelled, there was a reverberating growl throughout the house. And I know whatever was there was pissed. But I'll leave it to the viewers to watch the I think it was in part 1, maybe part 2, where I talk about that. But I'll leave it for them to watch the episode, and then you'll see and understand why and where I'm coming from when I say I think there's something there that plays in the psyche of men, humans, because women have been the same way.
Yeah. I mean, it's no joke, man. And so, so I sent Dennis an early version of the episodes a little bit back, and he came back and he found a disembodied voice that I completely missed. And I don't want to give it away. It's actually in episode 2, so it won't be playing this Thursday. It'll be the next Thursday. But that is such a disturbing body voice, considering a couple of things. A, they were walking to Melissa's room, and B, they had gotten some EVPs before that about kill them, and something about we want to come out and play, or
let me out to play,
or we want to be heard, or something. There were a few. Let me out to play.
Yeah.
We want to be heard. And then you get I mean, it's like, how do you explain a disembodied voice? They're just walking into a room, and then Tanner with the cameras walking behind them. Nobody's saying anything.
Yeah.
And then you hear a whisper saying, finish them. That was a phenomenal catch, first off. And I was blown away when I went back and looked at that. How do you explain that?
Well, so we did and I sent you the message telling you about this. We did a round robin, introduce ourselves while doing EVP session. And, I investigate a lot with the general public. Yep. So I want them to know that if we catch a voice, it's not one of the other guests. Listen, here's all the other guest voices. So we go around the room, and I said, all right, so you know me. My name is Dennis. And we usually take a good 5 to 10 seconds before the next person introduces themselves. Well, before Martha, who was next, introduced herself, you hear this voice that goes, kill that guy.
Really?
Plain as day in the living room. Then Martha introduces herself, and then I think the next one that introduced themselves was one of my volunteers, Lance. And after Lance introduced himself, you hear, kill him.
Jeez.
So it didn't surprise me to hear that in y'all's EVPs for the episodes. But what surprised me was the look on the guys' faces when they're like, did that say kill them?
Yeah.
What the hell does it want to kill me for? And I'm like, that's what it gets its rocks off on, man. It thrives on that chaos and shit.
Man, and it's like, dude, I don't ever try to put myself in anybody else's head or anything, but it's like, you know, you can't help but to think, did Randy have a voice in his head? Who knows what the circumstances?
Well, I will tell you this. I did an EVP session, and during my EVP session, I said, are you the dark entity that caused Randy to rape and murder his own half-sister? And I've got this voice back. Yes. Plain as day.
Yeah.
Well, after that, a couple of months later, the Twisted Realm came in and filmed their episode. And Tana asked the question, why? Why did you cause Randy to harm his own sister? And that same deep, gruff voice came back and answered, the violence. That's what it thrives on.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, it has no physical capabilities, I don't think. So for it to be able to play in your head, and one thing that I found very interesting was when Chris, who, can I tell his occupation?
Oh, yeah.
So Chris on your team is law enforcement officer.
Yeah. Oh,
And when he made the comment that I felt so off put that I secured my weapon in the car.
yeah, it's important.
You know, that spoke volumes to me, because if a law enforcement officer feels uneasy carrying their weapon,
Yeah.
that means they know something is diabolically at play.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
entity in the basement has a love-hate relationship with Dennis. Several times it's called him asshole. Oh, that's no joke. It truly has. It's either that or the F-bomb gets thrown at me as soon as I walk in.
Well, they got an EVP saying F you.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear too. But yeah, going back to Chris, with his weapon, you know, I try as a filmmaker, I want to try to keep it as real as possible. I cut out more stuff than I actually put in documentary. So I was trying, when they were in that room, which would have been Randy's room, and then, you know, they had to walk outside. Before they had to walk outside, it's funny because Sean had done an interview saying, he's like, I've had to have several people that I've investigated walk outside. And then he did that interview before they did that investigation, and then that ended up happening. But anyways, I was really trying to decipher. I was like, well, was Chris just really tired, or was he just really being affected by the heat? Now, granted, that was probably 1:30 in the morning, so I know he was tired too. But I think there was some other stuff at play along with his tiredness and whatnot. So I think he had the foresight, which I don't think he would have even been carried, and there would have been no reason for him to carry during our investigation. You know, nobody felt threatened from a physical standpoint or anything. So I was really trying to decipher, was he just really tired, or did he really get affected by something in that room? And I don't know. I put it out to actually what happened, and I'll let the viewers and the audience make their own assertions from that, because to this day I don't know, because again I was investigating with Hammy, so I wasn't even over there at that time, but something was messing with him, and then they got that EVP killed him. So there were some really weird variables happening that all kind of lined up to maybe, that maybe felt threatened by Sean because of his prayers or something. I don't know. It was very odd, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. There was so much happening. And, Gene Wells, that's in chat, like I said, he's one of my volunteers. He's a member of Crop with me. He was doing the Lord's Prayer in the basement one night, and there is a resounding, audible growl. Like we pissed it off by saying the Lord's Prayer. So I wonder if maybe, Sean doing prayer in the house and, Chris was there. Maybe Chris was a little more susceptible to be, effed with. I don't know.
Yeah.
From time to time, Daniel, it depends. I know you've slept peacefully in both buildings. I had New Jersey, what is it? Crap, I'm trying to think of the name of the team. They were out of New Jersey. There were 19 members. But
They all came at the same time.
yeah, they slept in both buildings.
Yeah.
Now, Frank Lazaro, who is New Jersey Rope, that's the name of it. But Frank Lazaro slept in the living room of the rancher and had a device up in the window that would go off alarm every time something got close to it, proximity sensor. And he said, man, I swear to God, every time my eyes closed and I dropped my head, that son of a bitch would go off. He's like, and then somewhere around 4:30 in the morning, we heard a scream in the house. He's like, it was loud enough. I had people sleeping in the parents' bedroom and people sleeping in Randy's bedroom. And they came out to the living room and went, what the hell was that? And then you hear another investigator in the background goes, not good. So, from time to time, you can sleep peacefully there. I have fallen asleep in the rancher before.
Do a lot of people do overnights in the rancher? Is that pretty common, or it just depends?
No.
Okay.
No, I will tell you this. Ryan Buell hosted an event there for the weekend. And he's like, at that point, nobody had told me that they had ever slept in the brick rancher. They just hadn't. And Ryan's like, well, I guess I'm going to be the first one to sleep in the brick rancher. Well, this was Friday night. So Saturday, I go back out for his new group of ticket holders. I asked him, I said, did you sleep in the rancher? He goes, I tried up until about 4:30 this morning when heavy boots walked right up to the head of my cot. And that was it. I was done. He's like, nothing would let me sleep. There were constant bangs, constant walking, constant boot prints, constant something. He goes, and then when they walked right up to my head, I was done. He's like, I came over here to the log cabin and went to sleep peacefully. So, it's just a matter of who and when.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that sounds like maybe troops, Civil War, Revolutionary War.
Well, I will tell you this. Of all the locations I've ever investigated, and I've been doing this for about 25 years, are you familiar with St. Albans Sanatorium?
Yeah, I've not been there, but
Okay.
I've got the guys, the Ray Chaser. I got their episode from St. Albans on the ScareNetwork. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
know.
I've done St. Albans probably 50 times.
Yep.
I've done Moundsville. I've done OSR. I've done hundreds of investigations. Twice I've had the absolute shit scared out of me. That moment your blood just turns to jello and your whole body locks up and you don't know whether to shit or go blind.
Yeah.
Once was in St. Albans in the long dark tunnel. And the second time was in the brick rancher, walking from the kitchen into the living room. And something about 6'3", it was an older male, stepped up into my face and it went black in front of me. He was just instantly, it was that.
Was it daytime or nighttime?
It was 10:30 or so at night. So it's dark outside, but there's enough light pollution that you can see the tree line across the road.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that one puckered my ass. Well, I had Ryan and 2 prospect team members with me that night. They were in the rancher as well. And when I finally got my voice back, because I took that step back and it was like, what the hell? And I finally took a couple of seconds and I went, Ryan, where are you at? And he's like, we're over by the bathroom. Why? And I went off. I'm like, don't you ever effing step up on me like that again. I promise I will bring my saints to bear and I will push your ass through the light. And then you hear 3 heavy boot steps on the hardwood floor, like walking away from me, and then dead silence. And Ryan was like, what just happened? I don't know, bro, but I think I peed a little. I'm going out and smoke a cigarette. But he didn't strike me as Civil War. I don't think he was revolutionary. I don't know who he is, but like I said, he was about 6'3" because he was tall enough to black out my vision, and he was definitely wearing boots of some sort. Shannon, when you go to St. Albans, go down to Alcohol Recovery and ask the spirits there if they know Dennis. It's worth it. Like I said, I've done St. Albans probably 50 times.
How far is that from where you live?
About 4 hours.
Oh, it is that far?
Yeah, it's a wonderful location though.
Yeah, I need to get there. I get hit up by about so many locations, and I wish I had the time and the money to go and do them all. I do.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if you get the chance and you want to do another place, get with me, and I'm going to throw a shameless plug for one of the people that's in chat, Chris Banchero. So he's head of operations at a place called Pamplin Historical Park.
Okay.
And they were on an episode of Portals to Hell.
Okay.
So it's 424 acres of battlefield. And it was even more crucial than Bethesda Church battlefields in the fact that it was the last line of defense protecting Richmond from the south. When the Union broke those lines, 2 days later, they burned Richmond as they fled. And then 5 or 7 days later, Lee signed the documents of surrender because he knew Richmond would fall when they broke those lines of defense on the property at Pamplin Park. It is an amazing place. But they've got two homes on the property that were there during Civil War. One is the Boyceau family home, Tudor Hall, and the other is the Hart family farm. You get to walk right on the earthworks where the breakthrough occurred. Simply an amazing place. So of all the places that you get invited to, if you ever get the invite to Pamplin Historical Park, take them up on it.
Okay.
Chris does a great job. Plus he's got some phenomenal stories of his own, like hearing me get told F you at the cannons on an EVP, his first ever EVP.
I'll have to go check that place out. But man, so what else about the cabin, the rancher, the woods? We didn't even talk that much about we have about the woods, but
well, so one thing that I noticed wasn't in the episode and we haven't talked about here is 10th Virginia. So just across the road from the cabin property, less than 1/10 of a mile, was the actual structure Bethesda Church, and that was a Confederate headquarters. Now, 10th Virginia went up what is modern-day Walnut Grove Road, 2/10 of a mile to our west, and they were headed to attack the Via House. Now, the Via House was 1.25 miles or so away to our northeast, and that was a Union headquarters. So as you look at a map, up here you have Via House, a Union headquarters. Down here you have the Bethesda Church, and here's us, right in the middle. So 10th Virginia goes up Walnut Grove Road. And Beaver Dam Creek came in from our far west, went up to our north and folded back down, and then faded into swamp across the back of our property. But 10th Virginia gets bogged down in the mud. They're going to attack the Via House. Well, unknown to these 500 members of 10th Virginia, there are 5,000 Union soldiers going into Cold Harbor and literally just fishbowled them. 400 members of 10th Virginia died there. The way that the swamp flowed, their blood literally came across the back of our property.
Yeah.
The woods themselves come alive at night.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful during the day. It's so peaceful, the birds chirping, and at night they come to life.
Yeah.
The spirits that are there want to interact. We've done numerous EVPs back there where we're playing music, or we call out battlefield commands, or you name it, and we've always gotten response. I also think there are native spirits back through the woods.
Has to be, yeah.
I had Shannon James actually sent this to me after I had spoke earlier about the yucca plants. And yucca plants generally symbolize resilience, protection, and new beginnings. Their ability to thrive in harsh environments and their sharp sword-like leaves contribute to these symbolic meanings. Well, the natives, we knew 5 companies of Confederates fought alongside the natives, and that would have all been under the Powhatan umbrella. They drank yucca root tea. But if you died in battle, they would roll your body over, dig a hole, roll your body back into the hole where you fell in battle, and throw yucca root on you and bury you on the battlefield. So in the middle of this 7.2 acres, I've got that one cluster of yucca root, yucca plants.
Yeah.
At that, we have heard flute music, like native flute music.
Yeah.
We've had solid figures have been seen there. Shadow figures have been seen right in that area. The woods themselves, whether you go to the way back, which is the area at the furthest back portion of the property, or you're in mid woods, or you're at the portal, that I noticed you guys referred to it as the portal. It's the 2 big cedar trees at the path that's right between.
Those are freaky.
There is a definite energy there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I wish we, I mean, it just boils down to us having more time, but I wish we could have, wish we could have gotten a little bit more history on the Civil War and the battles that actually took place there. And I wish we could have spent a little bit more time in the woods, because we definitely did some investigating. I walked back there with you. You told some stories, and you talked about the yucca plants a little bit, but I don't think I included that in the actual piece. I'm glad you're actually talking about it now. But do you, I mean, obviously you're biased because the place is so close to you, but do you feel like that your whole area there, the cabin 360, including the rancher, the cabin, the woods, the trifecta, as we like to call it, do you feel like it is an underrated paranormal location within the United States? Just your opinion, not right.
I definitely do. I definitely feel it's underrated simply because it's not that well known about. I mean, I've had teams from as close as Maryland and as close as North Carolina, and even teams just on the other side of our own state that have never heard of it.
Yep.
So my whole goal, and let's see, what time is it? It's 9:20. So there is still active over on our TikTok page doing a TikTok live just to get the name out there, get the notoriety it deserves. Shannon said it best, way too underrated.
Yeah.
and that's the main thing, is it's just underrated because it's not that well known. You have places like Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. They've been on every major network TV show you can think of.
Yeah.
You have places like St. Albans that have been on the major network TV shows. And then you have places like the Cabin on 360 that I don't think I have ever had a team walk away and go, this place sucked. We didn't have shit.
Yep.
Never have I had a team disappointed in the property. So, yeah, I think it's definitely underrated. And I'm going to answer Shannon James' question. Have I ever had a title search done on the property by an examiner? No, I have not, but I did go to the courthouse. I wanted to find out who our victim was and who our perpetrator was. I wanted some history on the actual murder that took place, because all Ryan knew was there had been a murder there. Didn't know who the victim was, didn't know, anything. So I spent so much time searching permits and everything else that I've got information on the property back to the 1940s, where it was part of a 36-acre tract of land that this woman got from her husband's estate, and then cut off this 7.2 acres and gave it to her daughter and son-in-law, who then 3 days later traded it off to Jones Realty and Construction. But Shannon, if you happen to be a examiner, let's talk. I'd love to have a proper title search done.
So you still haven't gotten 100% confirmation on what year the rancher was built? I can't imagine it being older than 1970.
No,
right?
I'm picturing it probably mid 50s to early 60s, maybe mid 60s.
Think it's that old?
Yeah. Yeah, just looking at the construction style of it. But yeah, it's not on the survey plots. Like when that land was bought by Jones Realty and Construction in July of 1978, it's not on the plat. They entered a new plat in May of 79 that talks about, it shows that structure drawn in, and the footnote says just to show location of structure. The Cabin on 360 is definitely under the radar. That will change. It's way too active not to be recognized as a premier paranormal destination. Banchero, you are so true in that, and my goal has been to bring the recognition to it that it deserves as a major paranormal destination.
Well, that's
and Shannon, I'll definitely talk to you later about that. I'd love to know what you discovered.
So look, the ScareNetwork is still young and growing. Not a lot of people know about it. So first off, I'm very grateful and thankful for you taking a chance and allowing us to come in and do this. But my ultimate goal is to raise, especially in a location like this, it really needs the financial help. But my goal is to bring whatever little bit of awareness and attention to this location, and to help out. I'm not saying what we're putting out is going to change anything, but I think even if it gets one more person or one more set of eyes on it that could potentially go and rent it out and have their own experience there, I think that'll be beneficial to the cabin and what you guys are trying to accomplish. And I can't, like I said, I'm just like blown away just with what we got in the short amount of time. And so I just encourage anyone who happens to be listening to this or watch the series, if you have any type of interest in the paranormal, whatnot, just go and spend some time and rent this place out, because you will not be disappointed at all. And it's a cool location. It films well. I mean, the B-roll, the drone shots. It's dude, I loved it. I loved it. I want to come back.
Man, you're welcome back anytime you want, Billy. Anytime, and I mean that. Daniel James says this place should be up there with the likes of the Hinsdale House. Trent says his team is Been to several locations. The cabin in Pamplin are their favorites, and Daniel James, the cabin on 360 is definitely our favorite location. And you know, here's something that I look at. Even if, as you said, ScareNetwork's still new, it's fresh, it's building, but I don't know who those subscribers are. But
Yeah.
let's take a hypothetical. There's one person in there that goes, man, they're trying to save this historic battlefield.
Yeah.
And they want to put a marker out to honor these soldiers, Union and Confederate. I don't care who they fought for. I'm going to tip my camera up, and I'm going to point that license plate right there
Mm-hmm.
and that license plate right there. Those are Vietnam veteran license plates issued by the state of Virginia and issued by the state of Ohio. They were soldiers. They were my father and my uncle. So I don't give a shit if you're for the Union or for the Confederacy.
Yeah.
I am for the soldier that was there. That man that is eating grass just to survive, walking with his toes hanging out of his shoes, but he's doing what his country asked him to do or what he felt was right. I want to put a marker out to honor them because so many of those young boys didn't get the chance to go back home.
Yeah.
So my goal is to save that piece of battlefield. It is the last 7 acres of, I don't know how many acres the Battles at Bethesda Church occupied. But if National Park Service can only get 5% of Cold Harbor battlefield, I'm assuming this 7 acres is probably a very small portion of the Battles of Bethesda Church, and it's all that's left. American Battlefield Trust wants it. I want to protect it. So if one set of eyes looks at this and goes, they need some help, man. I got, $100 million sitting in the bank I'll never be able to spend. Here's $100,000. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
But I don't discredit anybody. If all they can afford to send in is $5 on the GoFundMe, that's going to help. And if nothing else, it can help me keep that lease paid until I can get enough time that I can go to a bank and go, I need you to work with me, man. Mr. Small Business Administration, I need to protect this land.
Yeah.
And, something's bound to give.
How are the bookings looking now? How's everything going with the teams coming in and this and that?
They're picking up, and I'll tell you, I have a absolutely killer team of volunteers backing me up. They're my misfit toys, is what they call themselves. And they work tirelessly. Emily and Martha and Crystal, I think, and Jason is there tonight. And they're doing the live from the cabin on the TikTok. And they do this every Tuesday and Friday unless there's a booking.
Yeah.
They are so damn dedicated.
Yeah.
And there is no way in hell I could possibly do this without my volunteers. So with everything that we're doing, and we're pushing it out on TikTok and we're pushing it out on Facebook, and I'm doing things like this to talk about the location, bookings are coming up. They are not where I would like them to be. I still have way too many openings.
Yeah.
But, we're hoping, and it's on the upswing, and that's all we can do.
Exactly. It's not like you have a huge marketing budget to get it out there and stuff. So you got to do what you got to do. So I'm a huge advocate, man. I'm a huge fan, and I'll be forever grateful for allowing us to be able to produce, what we did, because, what we did, and what we were able to put together in this 3-part series, and that'll be etched forever. We have that to document it, and I don't want anybody to try to compare, because I don't like to compare, but I hope that people will take the time to watch it just to let their eyes be open to how active this land and location, and houses and woods are. Um, I mean, it's easy for us to say it on video and on a live stream and through the documentary, but all I can do is encourage anyone to go themselves and experience, and it's kind of surreal being there versus just watching a video on it, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to watch a video on it, but man, when you see a video, and I will definitely give you props, Billy. The production that you put into it and the effort that you put in,
yeah,
and none of it seems over dramatized.
yep,
None of it is the oh my God, did you hear that?
yeah,
Yeah, I heard a cricket fart. What the fuck are you going on about? You know, it was just raw, real. It was edited well. Your production on it was wonderful.
thank you,
You didn't make me feel like a damn fool for having you come in.
yep,
You know, I've had others that have come in that afterwards I'm like, this is going to hurt.
yeah,
And I've had others send me their video and go, hey, what do you think? And I don't want to be that guy
yeah,
that goes, bro, did you have Mickey Mouse and Goofy on a drunk night edit and clip this shit together? What the, you know, but sometimes you just have to be brutal. And
yeah,
I think everybody in the chat can agree. They've all known me long enough to know I don't sugarcoat shit.
no, you shouldn't.
You did a wonderful job with it.
Thank you.
It wasn't it wasn't stretched out. You know, you didn't blow things out of proportion. You just let the place be itself. And the investigators that you had, you know, Sean and Hammy and Chris and yourself, you did what an investigation is about. So I truly appreciate that. And I'm going to answer Shannon's question.
Oh yeah,
Yes, there's not a body of water nearby. What it was Beaver Dam Creek during the Civil War anyway, started 7 miles up in Mechanicsville proper. And it came out towards the east, towards our property. And then it turned and went north and then turned back down. And just on the other side of Walnut Grove, damn, burps,
Stop drinking those Cokes.
right? It became swamp. During wet season, it's what you call wet season wetlands, but it doesn't qualify for wetlands protection. So I can't preserve it even as wetlands. And if it were wetlands, I can't preserve it. That would be like me finding out that you have wetlands or something on your property. I can't do shit about it. You as the owner have to, which is why I'm so adamant that I have to take possession of the property. You know, it's, again, it boils down to the construction and realty firm that owns the land right now. They're after one thing, and that's the green, and that's what pays their employees, what keeps them in business. History doesn't keep them in business.
Yeah, so you know, going back to what we actually produced and what you said, I mean, look, after we shot it and I kind of put it away, you know, on a hard drive and put some other projects ahead of it, you know, I and I said this earlier, I truly felt like I would get a good hour, 15 hour, 20 minutes out of it. We just have a good solid documentary. I don't ever stretch anything out just to stretch it out to get more content. You know what I'm saying? I went in this 100% like, man, I'll just get one really solid documentary. But, you know, when the stories all were matching up with a lot of the evidence, and then the stories were standing alone so good by themselves, and then you know we had the other evidence with the spider and the pictures that Ryan got that his friend got in the ceiling at the cabin, which is in episode 3, which is amazing too. I don't want to give too much away on that. I mean, I never intended it to be 3 parts, but I felt like the 3 parts, they're not boring and they're not lagging. If I felt they were lagging, I would cut them out and I would compress them more. So I mean, again, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but just kudos to this land and to what you're doing with taking care of the house and the rancher and the woods and all that, and the passion that you have for it, man. It really came across um, in the interviews that I got with you, and I'm very grateful for that, because there's not many owners of paranormal locations who are as passionate and show the interest that you show. I mean, I can count on one hand the amount, and I've been to a lot of locations now filming for the platform and stuff. And so, man, I wish you guys nothing but the best. And I just hope that it just goes on for years and years and years to come.
And I appreciate that. And I say a prayer nightly that something falls into place and I'm able to take possession of it and protect this place and just turn it into what it's supposed to be, which is hallowed ground that is protected forever.
Yeah.
And, I can do a flower garden out back. I can do a memorial bench for Melissa. I can do a memorial marker for the soldiers lost there. But it's all for naught if I can't take ownership of it and save it for perpetuity. And that's my ultimate goal. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've never been $500,000 in debt. But if I can somehow, by the grace of God, buy this land, I'll take that indebtedness.
Have you thought about getting up with Matt Rife? However you say it.
That's kind of funny. I messaged who I think is, or who I thought was Matt Rife. Turns out it's a bullshit scam page. So, but yeah, I would love to talk to Matt Rife. If anybody of our listeners knows how to contact the actual Matt Rife, I would love to talk to him, because I know, 1, he's serious about the paranormal.
Yeah.
2, he's highly interested in the Civil War. And 3, I think he's just funny as shit. Even if he told me to go F myself, I think he'd do it with such a great style and finesse and humor. I'd laugh my ass off and look forward to going to F myself.
I think he'll do well. He and his partner will do well with that location. I mean, I don't know them from Adam, and I've been to that location, but I haven't been inside. I've ridden by it up there in Connecticut, and I wish them nothing but the best. And my heart, I hope that it doesn't turn into a clown show, because I know, just based off the research and people I've talked to, how hard and how serious the Warrens were about everything. And I don't think they would have any intention to do that. I think they have good intentions with that. And, I know they don't own a lot of the artifacts in the museum and stuff. I think
that's all still under Nesper control.
Yeah. So I wish them nothing but the best. But man, just my opinion, going back to the cabin in that area, man, I mean, I think you're sitting on a gold mine. I just think people don't know about it yet, which is, we've already said that, but I feel some good things are coming for the cabin. Like, who am I? But I just feel that based off of what we got, I'm like, gosh, people gotta know about this.
Even if it's not a gold mine, if it's only an aluminum mine, but it's enough of an aluminum mine to help me pay for it and protect it forever, then that's all I care. I mean, it's, and I've said this 1,000 times. I didn't step up to the plate with the anticipation I was going to be rich.
Of course.
I
Yeah.
stepped up to the plate with the anticipation that I was going to protect a property that I care so deeply about, and that so many of my volunteers care so deeply about. Um, the property is just one of those that, man, once you start getting into it and once you start getting the level of activity, um, you just you feel drawn to it. It's just, Brandon, that's the ghost guy on TikTok. By the way, you got to check him out, Brandon Johnson, the ghost guy. But yeah, I mean, it's a spooky home away from home, and it's just amazing. And even when I'm not there, and my volunteers are the ones that step up and work with guests that are there, they tell us, they always come back to me and say that um, they love the property and they love the spirit of feeling like they're home.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. I set out to make the cabin something that nobody else is. And I've got volunteers, and my wife bought a cabinet, and one of the, some of the other cabinetry that's been brought in just to display merchandise. The furniture that was brought into the living room of the brick rancher dates right out of the 70s era,
Yep.
quote unquote. That looks exactly like what was in my grandma's house. That was the goal. I wanted it to be something that no other place has got. And what you didn't see, because I hadn't done it yet, the walls in the basement have now been painted, and the two end walls are painted with glow-in-the-dark paint. And I have mounted UV lights above to charge the glow-in-the-dark paint.
Where's that
So
at?
in the
Basement?
basement, yeah,
Oh, yeah. You told
it's
me
cool as shit.
you cleaned it up.
Yeah, the volunteers stepped up big time, man. I,
Um, so I never got your opinion. So what is your opinion on the artwork?
dude, I looked at that and I went, "Oh, that's kind of cool the way he flipped it."
Did you understand what it was doing?
Yeah, I did. Now, can you flip that image upside down?
I no. I mean, I could not right now, but I
Oh,
could. But do you,
so for those that are looking at that image, take a look on the porch of the upside
yeah,
down portion, because that upside down portion is the brick rancher.
exactly.
And what do you see on that porch?
So, well, first off, like I said, I'm gonna get I'm gonna send you a poster, a full size poster. You can see I got a bunch of posters behind me, but I'm gonna send you one of those. I want you to, if you don't mind, hanging it in the cabin and stuff. Um,
If I
but
don't mind,
but I
dude,
so
I will gladly hang that in the cabin.
I've got some really good art guys who are actually over in India or somewhere. Indonesia, I don't know, somewhere, but they're amazing. And it's like, I don't know why that idea came to me, but it's like, so you got the woods, you
And the
got the two
soldier off to the
locations, you
side.
got the cabin, then you got the rancher. It's just something I couldn't execute it. I couldn't do it. I mean, I can edit a video and I can tell a story, but as far as like artwork like that, I can just throw out my ideas and then let these guys who are really good at Photoshop kind of do their thing. But that just came to me. It's like, man, it's like, let's do one on top, one mirroring it on the bottom. And then yes, I wasn't trying. I mean, so that's Melissa kind of looking out is what you were trying to say. And if you were to flip that, you would see her kind of standing on the porch looking out. And I wasn't doing that trying to be trying to be disrespectful any stretch of the imagination. I was doing it because I felt like she's so prevalent. Her spirit is so prevalent on that location that I wanted to include her in this official artwork that we had done too. So
I have to tell you, this young girl was born 2 years before I was. I was 10 years old when she was murdered. I never met her. didn't have a clue about her existence, her passing, her tragedy. But the number of friends that I have made because of this young lady, the number of friends that have met because of this young lady, the number of relationships and bonds and everything because of this young lady and us finding about her story, you know, is countless at this point. So I make sure, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I'm sure some of my followers and whatnot get tired of hearing it, but it's said that a man dies 2 deaths in life. One is when the body dies, and 2 is when his name is no longer spoken. And I vowed that as long as I have a say in it, she will never die that second death. Her name will always be spoken. We celebrate her with events every year.
Yeah.
You know, I don't just refer to her as the girl that was murdered next door. I refer to her by name every single time. And there's a reason I do that. And I only refer to him most often as Randy, not by his full name, because it doesn't deserve that recognition.
Shouldn't even call him
She
by his
deserves
first
that.
name. Yeah, shouldn't even call him by his first name, to be honest with you.
Well, it's kind of rude to say, and then her piece of shit brother.
Yeah.
So I got to keep it somewhat politically correct.
But
you know,
I'm-
this young lady has done so much for so many people in this field.
Yeah.
Just by her short time on this planet, that, you know, she deserves honored and protected.
I know.
It's everything I'm going to try to do.
And it is, I mean, you're right, man. It goes without saying. It's so sad that a little 12-year-old girl never got a chance to live her life. And she was taken away in such a brutal manner, and she did nothing wrong to deserve that. And even though that was, 40 some years ago, it doesn't make it any sadder. Anytime anyone loses their life is sad, especially when it's a young person who never even got a chance at life.
Right.
12 years old. She didn't get a chance to be an adult. She never got a chance to get married, to have children, to experience life. And so to me, that's very, very heartbreaking. And the last thing we ever want to do, or I ever want to do when I go to a location, is to be any type of disrespectful to any type of spirit, or if something really bad happened in that location, I try to be as respectful as possible. But going back to the whole paranormal aspect of it, man, it is just astounding. Just the amount of evidence that just kind of, I can only speak for what we got, but just and as well, that just kind of flooded in with relating to that crime and what happened. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's, and I think a lot of those spirits were there before she was there.
Yep.
But I also have to wonder how many spirits, if it works on that side, that they understand there's a child in distress and they come to the rescue. I mean, if you and I were, walking down the road and we saw a child in distress, we would run to their rescue.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, do spirits see the spirit of this young girl in distress and felt drawn to that location to help that child out? Is that why there are so many? I don't know. I have to wonder, because I think some of the spirits that are there because of her.
Yeah. No.
And that could be it. And the other thing is, it could just be that property is a beacon for spirit. I mean, I've got a team that told me they think there are as many as 6 to 8 spirits in the log cabin.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I've probably got 4 to 5 in the Brick Rancher, and I don't even know how many are in the woods. So, is that property? Well, one of the theories in the paranormal field is man's atrocity to man can rip a hole in the very fabric of what we call the veil.
Yep.
If that's the case, this property is ripe for that to occur because you had such atrocities take place. I mean, 2,000 men died, wounded, or missing in action on or very close proximity to that land. That's about as atrocious as you can get.
I know, man. I mean, it's like, obviously they took their last breath there, and a lot of them didn't even know what happened. So
Yeah.
we can only speculate as to whether their spirit is trapped there or went to heaven or wherever, whatever your beliefs may be, where, what happens to a spirit, or if it is stuck, or if it's able to go back and forth. We don't know the answers to that. We can only speculate and be the hypotheses out until we actually, like you said, until we actually pass on. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to know, but yeah, I mean, you got to know that there was some blood shed out there in those woods, without a doubt.
Without a shadow of a doubt, there was. I mean, at one time, the mantle above the fireplace in the log cabin was covered in relics that were dug on that property. Union bullets, Confederate bullets, cannonball fragments.
They were all found on the property.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
everything you can think of was up there. There was a brooch that was very popular among the, like, um, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Southern Confederates.
Hmm.
And it was called a Love Always brooch. And it had a man and woman sitting on a bench, and there was a hoop that went over the top and said Love Always. And it was very common amongst that region of Confederate soldiers. It was dug on the back property. Uh, it was up on the mantle as well. And right at the beginning of COVID lockdown, some pieces of shit pried open the back window downstairs, went in and went through everything in the cabin and stole all the relics that we had, including that brooch. Um, Countless bullets and cannonball fragments and, uh, shoelace eyelets. And I mean,
Yeah.
just so much stuff. Of course, now, one thing that we pride ourselves on at the cabin is we do fundraisers. We
Yeah.
do charity events. So twice a year we do a fundraiser to buy flags. We have a couple of cemeteries in the area that were mostly abandoned.
Hmm.
And there's roughly 700 veterans headstones that we buy flags for, and we go out twice a year, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and we place flags on these headstones. That takes a good bit of time.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of cases of water for the upcoming flag placing. We have had a couple of cases of soda, a couple of our tables, all of those things were stolen. Yeah, and I gave Daniel James one of the, I believe it was 68 caliber drop bullets that came off the property.
Yeah.
But, there's all of those things were stolen, and they can't be replaced. I mean, yeah, I could go to an antique shop. I could buy 1,000 bullets. They don't have the significance of the ones that were dropped or fired or perhaps killed somebody on that piece of dirt. And trust me, if I could find the individuals that broke into that cabin and stole all of that stuff, I would beat them stupid with my bare hands.
That's unfortunate. Anyways, well, we've We've been almost 2 hours, Dennis. I probably talk to you for another couple of hours. So,
It
uh,
wouldn't take much. Let me ask you before we close. Have I
yeah,
told you the story of the little red cap boy?
no.
All right. So I mentioned man's atrocity to man. All right. One of the stories that I found was a commanding officer detailing, good night, Gene, detailing how one of his soldiers died.
Hmm.
He said, our color bearer had been dropped in the morning. And as we progressed towards the next skirmish, I walked my lines and I found a long, lanky boy and asked him, and it mentions him by name, asked him if he would bear colors. And he jumped up proudly and said, yes, damn them all to hell. They've killed my brothers. They may as well kill me too. And then it talks about what happened to him. Quote, he was permitted to bear colors for a 20-minute stand, perhaps out of respect for his bravery, being mere yards from the enemy muskets. Then they trailed a big gun on him, and the last that could be seen as his limbs went in separate directions and his flesh was dashed upon our faces, was his little red cap as it flipped through the air. They decimated this little 15-year-old Confederate soldier that ran off to war with a cannon.
Oh, wow.
That was during the battles of Bethesda Church, on or immediately in proximity to our land.
Wow.
That is why this land is so significant. Thank you,
15 years old.
Daniel. I mean, you had I found a story where a female civilian had run out to render aid to downed soldiers after a skirmish was over,
Yeah.
and as the companies were retreating, they fired a volley of shot behind them in protecting the rear, and killed this female civilian.
That's crazy. One last quick story that I didn't put in the doc, and I don't think you told it to me on camera. I think you told me off camera. I don't think you told it to me during the interview. Didn't you say y'all had sometime in the last couple of years a group of 7, 8 come? They drove for whatever 6, 7 hours. They came down and then they
Nine
went.
and a half.
Yeah,
Nine and a half.
and they went out in the woods and something happened out in the woods and they got so freaked out that they ended up leaving after a few hours. Tell that story really quick because it's not in the series.
All right. So we had a team drive down 9.5 hours from New Hampshire, 7 members, all pile in the Suburban. They've paid for the full weekend rental. I give them the history, give them the tour. It takes an hour, hour and a half to walk them through the entire property. They've got questions and, tell us another story, etc. At the end of this hour and a half, roughly, maybe hour, I said, all right, man, make sure the lights are out, the doors are locked. Message me when you leave Sunday morning. This is Friday evening. And they're like, yeah, man, no problem. I got a call an hour and a half later. It says, hey, man, I just want you to know the lights are off, the doors are locked, the keys back where you asked, and we're going home. I said, oh, my God, is everybody okay? Would you have a family emergency? Yeah. No, man. Everybody's fine. We just weren't ready for this shit. That's his answer. And I said, wait. What the hell went off the rails so bad in an hour and a half? He goes, man, I don't even know where to start. I said, well, the beginning is a great place because this has got to be jacked up.
Yeah.
I used a different term.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, look, the first thing that happened, man, after you left, I sent my newest investigator towards the way back. He was going to place some trail cameras. He's gone maybe 10 minutes. And in that time, 2 of my investigators were ready to just beat each other down. He's like, I get between them, I get them broke up. And he comes in the door. He goes, now, first think about this. All 7 of us just spent 9.5 hours in the Suburban driving down here, not a crossword amongst us. He's like, my team is more like a family than just a team. He's like, but they're ready to beat each other's asses within 10 minutes. It just doesn't make sense. Well, then he runs in the door, and you can tell this boy is petrified. And he drops my cameras on the table, and he says, fuck this. I'm not doing that. And he's like, well, what the hell's wrong? And he goes, man, I got partway back on the access road, and I had to take a leak. So I stepped into the wood line to relieve myself. And almost instantly, I was surrounded by hooded, cloaked figures.
Oh gosh.
He's like, I shut my eyes. I said the Lord's prayers. And as I'm opening my eyes, they weren't there anymore. You ain't getting cameras back there. He goes, all right. I understand, man. I get it. He's like, so we decided collectively as a team that all 7 of us are going to walk down the access road and go put trap cameras out. Maybe we'll see something. You know, maybe it was just people screwing with him or something. We'll go find out. He goes, we got halfway across the side parking lot to the access road, and we hear somebody just knocking on the window at the cabin. He goes, we turn around and look, and the upstairs loft lights were on.
Yeah.
I went, well, those don't even work. And he goes, well, I'm telling you, they were on. And in the window was shit. I went, what? He's like, the only way I know to describe it, man, there was a goat man standing in the window.
What?
I went, come on, bro. I'm like, what? Seriously? And he's like, I'm not asking for a refund or anything. Why would I make this shit up? Good point. He's like, there was a goat man, large black figure, horns in the window of the loft. I went, okay, well, that's a first. Now, I've never seen anything remotely like this. Afterwards, I have had one other group tell me that they saw something that resembled that on the property between the 2 buildings. They said it was 7 or 8 tall, big burly figure with big horns, just a shadowed black figure standing in the middle. I said, okay, well, I can kind of understand that. He goes, well, we went back into the log cabin to see what the hell was there. We're thinking maybe you've got somebody hiding in there just screwing with us. He's like, we didn't find anything, obviously. But then 2 more of my investigators, I had to step between them because they're now ready to whip each other's ass. He goes, we ain't but an hour into this. He's like, I get them separated. Everybody's calmed down, and we're debating where we're going to start going. And he goes, and then my best friend of 20 plus years stepped up to me, and I didn't recognize the look in his face. I didn't recognize him, period. And he goes, you know what, man? I don't know why, but right now I just want to smash your effing face in.
Oh,
he's like, well, that's it. We're done. We are done. Pack the gear up. We are going home. He's like, as team leader, I have to choose safety over evidence and investigation every day.
Yeah.
I went, I completely understand that, man. I said, I'll tell you what. I'm an ordained minister. I'm blessed in 5 different religions. When you get to your first stopping point, call me and put me on speakerphone if you would like, and we'll do a prayer and blessing session on your team. He's like, we can do that right now, man. We're at the Wawa just up the road.
Mm.
He's like, we're getting drinks for the ride home, and then we're northbound back to New Hampshire. And I went, okay. So go ahead and call your team together, I suppose. So he says, hey, guys, come gather around. Dennis is going to do a prayer and blessing session with us. And from the background, I hear, well, what the F can he do? He's an effing nobody anyway. He's nothing. And I started laughing, and I said, that's your new guy that saw the hooded cloaked figures, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, man, I don't know what the hell's right. Wait, how do you know that's him? And I said, just trust me, I know. Get him on his knees. So they gather around, and we do a prayer and blessing session. We finish our amens. And then I hear, what the hell are we doing here? When did we leave the cap? What the hell is going on?
Oh, gosh.
And I went, that's your new guy, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, man. He is not coherent right now.
Jeez.
And I went, yeah. Make sure keep an eye on him, but I think he'll be fine. So that's the craziest one that we've had happen. Now, if you think I'm full of shit, check out Ryan Jones has a podcast called The Freaking Awesome Paranormal Show. He actually interviewed the team lead
Yep.
about a month or two after this incident took place, and that team lead shared his exact story. But it's just one of those crazy stories that you go, wait, goat man?
Yeah.
And I mean, dude was like, I just want you to know I'm not looking to get a refund or anything. And I said, well, that's good because I'm not giving you one.
How long ago was that?
That's probably been 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. What's the furthest you've had a team come in to investigate and spend time at the cabin in the area, in the rancher and stuff?
I want to say that 9.5 hours from New Hampshire.
I think that's like nobody on the West Coast or any.
No, I haven't had anybody from West Coast. I think the 9.5 hour travel time was the longest I've had so far. We had them come in from New Jersey, and they may have spent 7, 8 hours maybe traveling. Yeah. I'm not sure how long it took New Jersey rope to get here.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty certain that New Hampshire team is the farthest traveled.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that. That doesn't have anything to do with anyone, or anything. But yeah, man. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you for this. Thank you for allowing us to film. Thank you for allowing me to be able to produce this series, man. I just encourage, if anyone's actually still watching this live, man, head over to ScareNetwork, create your account, and we're dropping episode 1, part 1 on Thursday night. And beyond that, I encourage anyone, like we've said several times throughout this live, to please give the cabin itself a chance and to go and book it and support it and help out with the GoFundMe, help out with anything you can do to help out Dennis and others involved in the cabin and that location would be awesome. So any final thoughts, any parting wisdom you'd like to throw on us?
Parting wisdom. No matter how mundane the location looks, and I should have paid attention to this myself a long time ago. It took Ryan a year to get me to go out to the cabin. It just looks like this mundane little place on the side of the highway. Never let your thoughts on what a place looks like ruin your chance to investigate a really cool place or a potentially really cool place. You've seen so much in the chat talking about how cool and how great evidence has been at the cabin on 360. There are other places like this. Take a day, go check out a historical location near you. Go check out a museum. Just dive into your history on locations and places. Our history is dying way too rapidly. It's being buried. It's, before you know it, there's going to be a friggin' Walmart in the middle of Gettysburg Battlefield. Let's take time and enjoy that history, learn that history, and do whatever you can to protect it, even if it's just paying your $10, $12, $15, whatever, to get into a historical living museum is what they call them. And go check it out, man. Learn our history. I've got a place here called Henricus Historical Park. It dates back to 1611. It was the second successful settlement in the New World. Oh, wow. It is absolutely amazing, the stories, the history, and everything that you can learn. There was a little known Powhatan girl there. Her name was Pocahontas. Most people don't know that she was right down just outside Richmond, Virginia, at the city of Henricus. And it's now known as Henricus Historical Park. Go check them out. Go save history. Even if it's only a $10 donation to a location, go
Yeah.
do it.
All right. Well, that's good advice, Dennis. Thank you. We're gonna have to do this again, man. I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed talking to you, and again, I can't stress enough how thankful I am for you giving me the me and the team the opportunity to be able to come in and produce the little bit of content that we did produce, and I hope it resonates with people, and I hope people will take an interest in not just what I'm creating, but what you are creating and trying to sustain and build and whatnot. So again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that.
Man, I appreciate you very much, Billy. You and Sean and Chris, you guys and Hammy,
Yeah.
you guys did something that hopefully resonates with so many people. And I wish you absolute best of luck with Scare Network. I think you're onto something that hopefully does what you anticipate it does. And Shannon, thank you so much for hanging out with us for the whole show. Daniel, thank you, brother. I see that you're still here. I'm not sure who else is still here, but thank you guys so much for all of the support and love. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Like Dennis said, thank you guys for sticking around and for asking questions and making comments. It means a lot. And everyone, head over to Scare Network, watch on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. And please just kind of, comment on some social media posts. And after the first episode, please let us know what you guys think about it. Feedback is invaluable for us to keep growing as storytellers and filmmakers. And, I'm just super excited to just introduce this location to people who may not have heard of it. And I think the paranormal evidence and the stories that we got there are I don't think it's an understatement. I think it's really going to punch people in the face because it's kind of overwhelming, right?
Yeah, it's just if you if anybody that was a skeptic were part of that filming,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be a skeptic at the end of that filming. And if they take this 3-part series for what it is, which is true, raw, and real, they've got to walk away and go, holy shit, this stuff's got it. There is something on the other side. And Banchero, you're definitely going to like the episodes, brother.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, I'm still kind of a skeptic, so I don't just put something in there just to put it in there. And so if I'm like gawing over it, I was truly impressed because I've been to, several locations and stuff that when I left, I was just like, man, how am I going to remotely turn this into something that is watchable and entertaining for a viewer? With this, I didn't even honestly have to try so hard. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, editing, like we said, is no easy task, but you guys' stories and the evidence itself just kind of jumped out at me. It was just a matter of me kind of finagling it and putting it together to flow.
Yeah, and you did pretty damn good, brother. I'll give you props and kudos for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, Dennis, thank you so much. Best of luck with everything. Let's definitely stay in touch and let me know how things are going. And I want to do this again at some point.
I look forward to it, Billy. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So we're going to end this live stream, but everybody head to ScareNetwork.tv, download the app, and let's watch this first episode on Thursday, along with tons of other content that we have on the platform already. So thank you, guys. Everybody have a good night.